Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast, brought to you by the Hot Take Hot Box. My name is Matt McSweeney. We have a full slate of things to talk about from this past weekend. We had a UFC Vegas 81, I think, and I called it 80, which, McNabb chest pack, that's on me. That's on me, yep. I don't think there's really that at the end of the world. But some of you might be pissed off, so I'm sorry to anyone out there. But we have some Misfits Boxing. I know you all were huddled in your masses around the television to watch Logan Paul and Dillon Danis get it on, and we have just some other news and notes that we have to get into. I think we were going to start with the KSI and Tommy Fury fight, just to get this nonsense out of the way so that I don't forget about it, because I usually forget to talk. I don't think we talked about this before. I think we did. We took like 5 minutes at the end, but I wanted to. I know all you hype beasts out there like to get talk about all this YouTube boxing and how they're bringing back boxing, and no, they're not. At the end of the day, boxing is in probably the worst place it's been in. It seems, with regards to this stuff being even taken somewhat serious. Showtime's walking away from the sport, Ty. I don't know how you feel about that, but
yeah, I guess their last event is going to be David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. It's sad because Showtime's had a lot of the big events in 2023. They've had a pretty good year, but yeah, I guess they're just they're just done. They're packing it up, and I think Amazon Prime is going to step up and try to get the rights to PBC, which they have all the big fighters right now. But it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird not having Showtime or HBO cards. Showbox was a big thing that Showtime did. They had these showcase cards, but they were exciting. They'd be in the middle of nowhere. And you'd be like, oh, I'm not doing anything else on, tonight, so let's watch this. And sometimes they used to have it on at 1 a.m.
Yeah. This past weekend they did.
Yeah.
So Tim Zoo action.
Yeah, that started a little late. It was a pretty good fight, though. It started slow, but Tim Zoo started to cook. It's sad, man. It is really sad. Like HBO and Showtime, Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman and Howard Letterman and just all the names that you're used to seeing, they're all pretty much done. I think Jim Lampley's actually getting back into the boxing world. I don't know what he's doing or where he's doing it at, but he's somewhere. So it's good to see some of the old figures still get involved. Boxing is really a sport of history and a sport of the people who dominate the sport of boxing are usually in their 80s. Bob Arum, I'm trying to think of the other fella. Don King is still somehow managing to finesse money from young fighters. I don't know how. It's just, the same figureheads, the same judges, the same refs, the same promoters, all in all. I don't know what Mr. Steven Espinosa or Connor used to call him a rat. I don't know what he's going to be up to now with Showtime leaving the boxing scene, but yeah.
So, did you watch the KSI Tommy Fury fight?
I did not.
Okay, so I'll tell you what you missed. Have you ever been to you have a sixth grade dance?
Yeah.
Okay, you seen the way the guys and the girls would slow dance at the when the time would happen, kind of like hands on the hips, one person put their hands on the shoulders. But just imagine they're a little closer. It was one of the most disgusting hug fests I've ever seen in my life, dude. I watched the whole fight just cuz it was kind of in the time of the day when nothing was really going on. I was watching Oregon-Washington football and had this.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, and it was a really good game, so it was kind of hard to pay attention. But KSI stands like Michael Venom Page the entire fight and just tries to blitz in and out against Tommy Fury, who I will continue to say is horrible, dude. He is horrible, man. He should be knocking these guys out left and right, but he gets a point taken away for punching KSI in the back of the head. And then they go to the scorecards, which is even more of a joke. And KSI, I actually thought KSI won just off of that, the score, just the point being taken, and there's only 6 rounds. And I thought he won the early round, but it was after I was like, oh, thank God that was over. And especially with the fight before, you didn't see. So if you didn't see that, you didn't see the Logan Paul Dillon Danis fight, right? I mean,
No, but I do think that ending in disqualification was a good bet. So
did it actually end in a disqualification?
yeah, I believe so. It says DQ unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I turned as soon as it was over, I turned it off because I didn't care to watch. Well, I mean, I did watch them kind of. I can't imagine how many people they fit into that ring when all that was going on. But Dillon Danis did not have any intention on throwing a punch in this fight. That was the crazy part about it. I mean, he kind of just walked forward with his guard up. Logan was, doing his normal thing. I mean, Logan throws straight shots and throws He's huge. I mean, he's a large human being. So he's on steroids, obviously, allegedly.
Yeah.
So you just know what you're walking into when you're fighting a guy like him. But with all the buildup, with all the everything, Dillon Danis just stood there. He just stood there, did not throw anything. This was another just boring fight. I can't imagine the people who are actually shelling out $80 to watch these fights. Or however much
It happens.
Because they keep doing it, right? Like it's amazing. So at one point, Dillon shoots a takedown, like a full takedown. Like tries to wrap his hands and everything because he has boxing gloves on, and that fails in the 6th round, I think, or 4th, or I forget what it was. And the security guards hop in during the middle of the fight. And then they hop back out, which, should have been a disqualification there. But then later on in the fight, this is like the most exciting parts of the fight because the whole actual contest was boring. Dillon tries to wrap a guillotine up, and he gets thrown on the ground, and Logan Paul tries to land a fucking ground and pound shot. So then Dillon hops up, and it's the most fight he showed the whole time. He starts throwing nukes. Logan runs to the corner, hides behind these unit security guards who are now in the ring with like 10 seconds left in the fight, and Dillon's throwing haymakers at the security guards. Like, I'm like, what am I watching? And then 1 million people are in the ring, and Jake Paul's in the ring. There was a video of him handing his bag off to somebody, so he looked coked out of his mind at this event.
I'm sure,
yeah. But it just goes to show you, for any of you boxers out there or you MMA fighters who go and fight these guys, this is what you're walking into. You are degrading yourself for a little bit of money, which I don't actually know how much they're paying. I can't imagine they're paying really that well because I don't know who's watching this stuff or how this stuff is making money. It seems like a absolute joke, but hey, man, it happened. Assault Poppy got knocked out. I saw that as well.
He got fucked up. Saw
that. That guy looked like a fucking prime Sean Woodson out there. Just
that guy looked like a Slim, I guess they called him. Yes. Looked like a gas station version of Prince Nassim Ahmed.
There you go. And he was throwing fucking nukes. And he put Salt Poppy on his ass, and then he had Salt Poppy fighting for his life. So, for the record, I never looked this up, and I just want to ask you, what does Salt Poppy do?
I think he's just a TikToker, honestly.
Do we know what his whole thing is?
I do not, honestly. I thought he was Salt Bae for a while. I thought they were the same person, but
no, that's the guy that does the sprinkles of salt, right? Okay.
Yeah, they should fight each other.
I mean, I don't know much about Salt Bae. It doesn't look like he's much of a fighter. I don't know anything about Salt Poppy. All I know is that he looks like he's on massive steroids because he out of nowhere just got jacked. So
it appears there was a tag team match that ended in a draw.
Yeah, it's like the videos you see of like the guy dressed in a suit fighting 2 other guys, like where that video pops up.
Those are funny, man.
And it's like, how do we get what like?
Yeah.
Who's paying for this stuff, though? Like, we talk about this all the time, Ty. Like, if this stuff was across the street from my house, I'd still stay home and would just watch whatever's on TV. I'm not going to this event. Like, I'm not. I don't care. I do not care. You couldn't even bet it here because it was an exhibition and no one takes it serious. They learned from when they made the. I know you could bet Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. when that Triller card was a thing. Jake Paul, Nate Robinson. They learned their lesson that night because that Mike Tyson fight was a joke, and then they cashed out that night because I think it was a draw, and they always knew it was going to be a draw, and nobody fucking bets the draw other than you. You're the only person I know who likes to fly that draw bet in. So, I think we've spent enough time on this, but unless
there's
you
an
have
OnlyFans girl fight.
Really?
Astrid Wet. Yeah, that's her last name, I guess. She moves to 3-0 with a win over Alexia Grace, who looks pretty good. I'll have to check out her content.
Well, I mean, yeah,
but,
these are ladies who are making money strictly off of their body, so it's
fans only. And I saw somebody at one point was wearing a Fansly, Fansly. I guess that's the OnlyFans rival, Fansly. So you learn something new every day.
So these chicks are, never mind. I'm just gonna keep it moving. So I guess we should get right into UFC Vegas 81. I believe it was 81 to make sure that we have everything right. Let's get my websites up and loaded. But Edson Barboza, man. So to quickly go over what we had, I think there goes a book of mine just hitting the ground. I don't know if you could hear that, but
I heard that.
You had Sadiq Youssef inside the distance, which you almost had in the early
5 seconds in
early parts of this fight. I can't believe that Edson Barboza. I had money line, but also bet inside the distance in another bet because I thought for sure if he was going to win, he was going to have to finish him. And
almost, dude.
He did. He had him hurt. But then he tried to go for Darces and stuff, which I was like, what are we doing here? But that's typical of a guy when I bet him. He tries to become a fucking, he thinks he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mastermind. Tries to hit some Darces and anaconda chokes when you're the, well-known kickboxer. But he just outlasted Sadiq. It just seemed like Sadiq kind of, I don't want to call it a vet lesson, but it seemed like that in a sense where this is just those concerns that we had going into the fight about Sadiq's strength of schedule kind of showed up as the fight kind of progressed. And other than those leg kicks, and it just kind of seemed like Edson really had his number here.
Yeah, really after the first round, he didn't do anything. It's crazy that Chris Lee, the one judge, that our boy, gave Sadiq a 10-9 for the first round. Don't know how that happened. I mean, he almost had him out for the entirety of the first half of the round. And then he took him down and laid on him for 3 minutes. It was just kind of in his guard. I'm like, hey, can we stand back up and fire off combinations? And then for the rest of the fight, he didn't even throw combinations. He was just throwing jabs. And he was throwing that push kick to the outside leg of Barboza so that he couldn't throw some spinny shit, which didn't work because he threw spinny shit and almost took his head off.
Yeah.
At the end of the third round. So, yeah, I think, honestly, Edson won every round other than the first. So I guess that would be 48-46, which I think two of the judges had it. So, yeah, I have no problem with that. I was just very disappointed by Sadiq Youssef. He just, after the first round, just didn't do what was working. It didn't seem like he was gassed, but I guess maybe he was a little bit tired. He stopped throwing combinations. He stopped throwing hooks. Stopped throwing, his boxing is supposed to be so good, but he just wasn't doing enough at all. He was getting out jabbed by Barboza, and Barboza was throwing a lot of just nasty, nasty body kicks that eventually I have to imagine slowed the power and the process of Sadiq Youssef down. Sadiq tried to go in the clinch a lot, and I don't know why, because it wasn't working. He got outstruck in the clinch 25-15, even though he was the one initiating it. So that was kind of confusing. I was just confused the whole time. He didn't really go for takedowns at all after the first round. I think he did in the fourth, but he wasn't trying to do that. He wasn't letting his hands go. I wasn't really sure what the game plan after the first round was.
It seemed like a situation where it was his first real 5-round fight in the UFC, and he kind of I don't know, not panicked, but it was just that was in the back of his mind the whole time. He was so scared to gas himself out that he really just winds up kind of just coasting through the entire fight, and nothing really happens, and he just kind of lets a fight that he could have, if he really put his foot on the pedal, maybe at some points could have stole around here or there. He could have had this fight. It was kind of there for the taking. I mean, he hurt Edson early on, and Edson bore that damage for the rest of the fight. It just kind of seemed like he really, I don't know. It's just a real missed opportunity, I feel like, for Sadiq Youssef. It didn't leave this fight saying that he shouldn't be at this level. It's just kind of like, what were you doing? Like you said, I don't really understand what the game plan was, but
yeah, I was very disappointed. I thought he came out firing. I was like, oh fuck yeah! This is this is what we need. This is what we wanted. This is what I want to see. And then I don't know. I had no idea what his plan was. He didn't have a plan. Honestly, I'm very disappointed in him because he is young-ish, and he's not a vet like Barboza, but man, he is, he's been in the UFC now for a little bit. He has 16 pro fights under his belt. He's 30 years old. Like, I don't know, man. I just maybe he's not built for the highest level. Maybe
he's not, but I guess we'll have to see. It's just kind of one of those where you get bumped back down and you got to fight somebody, in that outside the top 15.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. 45, any of those weight classes, like we've talked about millions of times, is just there's not going to be an easy fight. But I guess it's good I imagine his next fight will be a much better performance than what we saw this past Saturday night. So
it better be.
I sure hope so. For his own sake and for, I'm probably going to bet him, so I sure hope for my sake as well. But Viviane Araújo wins a real boring decision. This was a real snooze fest.
Especially the second round. That was fucking terrible.
Yeah, it was just kind of... I saw some people saying that Maya should have won, but she didn't do...
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't say that. Maybe neither of them should have won.
No, it's kind of like... Exactly, that's how I felt, too. It's just
I think she won the first round, right? Maya won the first round just off of, doing... Vivi didn't really do shit in the first round. In the second round, she took her down and got her... She was on top of her, the whole round, I think. And then the third round, I kind of don't really remember, funny enough. So
I mentally tuned this out. So I'm not going to act like I really, this was like we talked about. It should not have been this high up on the card. It just shouldn't have. I know they wanted to put a lady. There's plenty of ladies fights you could have featured higher up on this card than these two, because this is just a boring matchup between two older women at 25 that, one had their title shot already. Viviane Araújo's not. No one's going to think that she should be, in the title conversation. She's 36. But now, with that win, she's going to have to fight somebody up on that level, and it's going to be, who the fuck knows what's going to happen. But, really, I mean, who cares? This was your one win of the night, was your Araújo money line bet. I had Maya decision, which, I was almost there, but just didn't get it all the way. How about Jonathan Martinez, dude? Leg kick god. He spammed leg kicks. Those inside leg kicks, you don't really see a lot of people throw those because it's dangerous. It's kind of easy to check those in comparison to those outside ones. But I mean, Adrian Yanez, he just kind of got that inside leg chewed up, and eventually it was too much for him, and he had to, he succumbed to them. So it's a big win for Jonathan Martinez. This was a razor thin sort of line where, minus 105, minus 110 sort of on either side. But good win for Jonathan Martinez, and sky is the limit.
Yeah. I mean, man, he was kind of channeling his inner, his teammate and good friend, Chris Gutierrez. Just absolutely. I was surprised. I was like, damn, Adrian, like, are you going to check any of them? Are we surprised that a notorious leg kicker is coming out here throwing leg kicks? Very upset with Yanez. I guess there's not really much you can do, right? But at a certain point, but eventually, you got to know that's what that guy wants to do. That's all he does. That's his game. He is a devastating, nasty kicker. I think he's a little bit underrated. I said that before, but now I think, with this a leg kick knockout win, he has two of them now in the UFC's history. I think that's really going to get people's attention. And I mean, dude, again, I just can't. What do we have with Adrian Yanez? Is that a finished product? A guy who just, kind of throws wild hands? Like, that's cool and all if you're fighting Tony Kelly, but at the top level, I guess, you got to have something else. And I don't think he has anything. 29 leg kicks. Whew.
That's a lot. And they were vicious. Like, they were damaging leg kicks, and it just you could tell it kind of just ate away at him throughout that, the end of that first round. And then as soon as that second round started, you kind of knew, like, this, we're not going to be here much longer. It really evaporated quickly, but it's a good win for Jonathan Martinez. Yanez, though, is in a tough spot. Ever since that triumphant victory over Tony Kelly, it's been bad.
Yeah. It looked that fight looked a lot like Robbie Lawler and Melvin Manhoef back in Strikeforce, where Robbie was getting his leg kicked literally, to like the top of his head, like his leg just swung all the way like a pendulum, and then he knocked him out cold. So if only Yanez could do that.
Yep, it's it's tough to do that though, especially when your leg is you don't have your leg underneath you, and the other guy is spamming that leg kick big time. But how about Michel Pereira taking care of Andre Petroski in a little bit over a minute, which, that right hand, I think it was a right hand, kind of just put him to the ground, and then those ground and pound shots were vicious after. It just bad matchup on short notice for Andre Petroski, who, Pereira looks good at 85. Looks like he, it's the appropriate weight class for him. I'm sure he's going to run into some people who are going to be able to, match his physicality and size, but right now that's just, if he's going to be fighting wrestlers and people, of the ilk of Petroski, it's going to be a bad night. I mean, Petroski was fighting for his life to get through that Mearshart fight, and it's it's not too good, not really good showings. He looked good in the Wellington Turman fight, and big win against Maximov and Phil Hall. I mean, those guys are not easy fights necessarily, but these last two, he's hit a little bit of a wall here, so he's gonna need a nice. I don't know. I really don't know, because those matchups have been great. They're not going to get much better the higher you get in the UFC.
Yeah. I think this could be an interesting run at 185 for Pereira, whatever you want to call him. I think his athleticism and explosiveness works well at that division. There's a lot of guys who are slow and plodding at 185. It's a lot different than 170. So I think he might be able to have some sustained success there, kind of like Johnny Walker. Once you hone in the craziness and kind of get him under control and just have him fight just straightforward, no fucking bullshit fight, I think he could win those. I mean, he just absolutely destroyed Petroski. Petroski attempted one strike the whole minute and 6 seconds. So, yeah. I mean, as clean and quick as a win as you could have for Pereira in his middleweight debut, there's really nothing else to say about it. He did also come out with the Israeli flag, so there you go.
Yeah, it's always, it's a tough one. But how about Christian Rodriguez taking out Cameron Simon via decision, though, unanimous decision? We had the inside the distance. Another great win for C-Rod, dude.
Yeah, he looked good. I mean, he missed weight again, so that sucks. And Michael Bisping told him he should be ashamed of himself, which I was like, all right, hey, calm down.
Bisping always lets those intrusive thoughts win, man. He
really does. I think Sal D'Amato gave one round to Cameron Simon. I'm not sure which round. I guess maybe the first. I have to find his scorecard. But yeah, I thought he looked pretty good, Christian Rodriguez. Maybe he has to move up, which I don't think would be the end of the world. I think he could probably do well if he moves up a weight class. And he'd definitely be able to make weight. Let's see which round he gave him. Yeah, he gave him the first, Cameron Simon. I think the first round was pretty close, but I thought the bigger shots, the better shots, everything all around was Christian Rodriguez. I thought he just looked crisper, more sharp, just better. I mean, they're both good. They're both, tough. But I was very impressed with Christian Rodriguez's his ability to get it to the ground, kind of keep it on the ground, and just be the better grappler and better wrestler in this fight.
How about Darren the Damage Elkins, man? With we should, like you kind of said before we started the show, if we had known, or if we had really looked into it and realized that TJ Brown is from Arkansas, it probably would have changed our mind a little bit on our.
I saw him walking out to one of two active fighters born in Arkansas. I was like, fucking great.
Yep.
Him and Bryce Mitchell, I believe. So.
And
red flag.
You never know with these guys because they don't really have a coach anymore. Seeing as Mr. TJ Brown's coach is blacklisted by the UFC, that being James Money Krause. That's my nickname for him. But listen, Darren Elkins. That's why we stayed away from this one. We want to bet it. You just didn't know, and Darren Elkins is just always going to be. He's a zombie. He's always going to be a tough guy. He's very good. Well, I shouldn't say he's just competent in all facets of mixed martial arts, and he has ridiculous endurance and a ridiculous just ability to just battle through damage and just trauma, and he just keeps fighting forward. So it's just Darren Elkins is a medical miracle.
Yeah, and his wrestling and grappling looked on point this fight. 5 takedowns, 2 submission attempts, a reversal or 2, a bunch of control, and then just wore him down. And he had that choke, I think, in the first or second round he was close. And then third round just wore him down, man. That was a really good win from Darren Elkins, honestly.
How about Ms. Lisboa, which I think I had submission here. We really didn't even come. I think she did almost sub her in maybe the second round, I think. But this fight, you want to talk about boring. This was a snooze fest. Oliveira was like, these girls were both landing like good shots on the feet, but all they did was clinch, and all they did was try to hip toss each other back and forth, and they really weren't successful. And then Lisboa would drop down for a takedown that Oliveira would do a good job of defending, and then they would just continually recycle that, and it just really boring either way. There was no change in game plan or anything of that nature. It was just really a really rough fight to watch.
Yeah, this one was one I had my eyes on my phone screen for most of the fight. I didn't watch much of this fight.
You didn't miss
Nothing happened.
much. Yeah, no,
Lisboa
seriously.
took her down, and that was it. And then in the third round, Oliveira took her down, but just terrible.
And didn't care who won. I was like, okay, like I don't care, Lisboa. I thought she won,
lost.
but we all exactly. The only person who really lost here, other than Oliveira, is us, and that's unfortunate. But how about your boy T-Rex taking out Brendan Marat with a absolutely fire knee up the middle that rocked
crazy.
His world, and he just got on
threw
top.
him down.
Yeah,
pushed him. Get off me. Well, before the fight, Brendan Marat said he didn't think Terrence McKinney was a fighter. He was just an athlete. I think his opinion might change a little bit after that.
Yeah, well, after you get your lights turned off like that, that's usually what happens, man.
Yeah, and he was down on the ground for a pretty long time after. That knee was nasty. I mean, that's just Terrence McKinney, man. He comes at you like a fucking firecracker, and I mean, you just have to withstand that storm. But that's a big, dark, heavy storm, and 5 long minutes to get through. So he's going to continue to be this kill or be killed round one demon. I guess kind of the bigger version of Daniel Lacerda, if you will.
We always got to bring Daniel Lacerda up during this podcast. It makes me sick. But how about Melissa Dixon, which we didn't know much about her going into this, but Melissa Dixon this was crazy because I think she lost the first round. She got
dropped.
She did, right? Yeah, she got dropped. And then Alexieva kind of had like dominant position on her, and then she eventually gets like swept at the end of the round, I think. Yep. And then Melissa Dixon was all her from then on out. I mean, I will give her credit. Powerful like wrestling. Really good on top. As soon as she got control of you, it was really difficult for her, Alexieva to really move or do anything. And Melissa Dixon kind of just made sure she held that like top arm. She was kind of like sneakily threatening that arm bar if she really was going to give it to her. But Alexieva had no answer for her, control on top. There was nothing, and she kind of just laid there and let it happen, it seemed. And it just really a bad matchup for her. Good win for Melissa Dixon. It's a good debut.
Yeah, her striking looked pretty good after even before she got knocked down. She was landing the jab almost at will, it seemed like. And her husband in the corner was giving her pretty good advice. So, yeah, good way to rally after getting knocked down by a nice straight right. Chris Lee gave her the first round despite getting knocked down, which, again, Chris Lee, I think, is just one of the fucking worst judges we have in the sport. But, what are you going to do? Just a low-level fight. But, yeah, good for Melissa Dixon getting a win. I mean, she's less experienced, and she was making her UFC debut, and she didn't look like she, the nerves got to her at all.
How about Chris Gutierrez taking care of business against the Mongolian Knight? I did not see this fight, so I'm going to count on you to tell me what I missed here.
A lot of leg kicks. A lot. Half of the strikes he landed were leg kicks, and the whole fight took place at distance. The entire fight, pretty much. Altang Haley at the end of the, I think, third got a couple takedowns, but he didn't do anything with them. He probably should have tried that earlier. The first round, he got walked through. I'm trying to get leg kick. Yeah. 21 leg kicks in the first round for Gutierrez, 19 in the second, 16 in the third. So that was just his plan, slow him down with the kicks and kind of keep him at range, and that's exactly pretty much what he did. Perfect execution of his game plan for Gutierrez. And, honestly, Jonathan Martinez. They both had great fights and great wins.
Those guys are really leg kick masters, man. They have kind of honed in on that aspect of the mixed martial arts.
Dangerous, that's for sure.
Yeah. How about, this one I didn't, we kind of saw her winning coming, but Emily Ducote put some serious fucking damage on Ashley Yoder's face, man. Did you see that picture of her?
I didn't see the picture, but I did watch I won't say all of it, but most of the fight. And then I went back and rewatched it and kind of skimmed over it. Yeah, her hands look good. I don't know how many kicks she was. I was gonna say Ducote was throwing some pretty good kicks too. Yeah, she was just. It's crazy because she's so much smaller than her and giving up a lot in reach. But Ashley Yoder just not UFC level. I think is pretty fair to say. So I think she's probably done with this fight.
Yeah, I sure hope so. She's 8-9 now. Really
She's lost 5 of her last 6.
Don't want to see her back. Yeah, we've seen enough, and I really wish I would have fired Ducote in this, but there was really nowhere to make money on that specific fight. But there you go. That's probably the quickest breakdown we've ever had of a UFC card, but it really was a snoozer for the most. Most of it was either they finished it early, like the Jonathan Martinez fight. I thought was like my favorite of the because it just kind of that had the most intrigue for me, and the Christian Rodriguez fight. But other than that, it was kind of like either Michelle Pajeda and Terrence McKinney getting a guy out of there in under a minute, or it was just like it was kind of all over. And then some of these were just decisions where it was just real snoozers. The first 3 fights were decisions, and then you got the Lisboa one, the Viviana Araujo. There's only 11 fights. We lose the one, where we had my entire bankroll was on the Lacerda money line. No, I'm just kidding. But Sadiq Youssef and Edson Barboza get $50,000 for fight of the night. Jonathan Martinez $50K and Michelle Pajeda gets $50K. So any arguments there?
No, I think it's probably fair.
Any news and notes, Ty, before we have to get out of here?
Yeah, so we have a BKFC event this weekend.
Oh my god!
We actually, it's always good when I start the sentence saying that. They actually just made a main event. Mike Perry and Eddie Alvarez. That's going to be happening in a couple months, I believe. I'm not sure exactly when. I just
December 2nd.
There you go. So that's going to be good.
Ben Rothwell and Todd Duffy.
That's also on the card?
Ben Rothwell, Todd Duffy, Jimmy Rivera, Jeremy Stevens. Beck Rawlings is getting in there against lady Christine Ferreira.
Yep.
The Misfit.
All right.
Yeah, and then some guy named Kai Stewart's fighting a gentleman named Howard Davis. So
fake names, I think.
Yeah, this is going to be in Salt Lake City, by the way. I know you'll be probably chartering a PJ over there to watch this one.
I will definitely be tuned in. But this weekend, we have, I don't know anybody really on the card, I guess. It's Barnett Richardson, not Josh Barnett and not Anthony Richardson, but Keith Richardson and Reginald Barnett. Cameron Van Camp is giving it a go. I can't imagine it's going to go well for him, but he's trying. So in the co-main event, we have a fellow named Tony Soto who is fighting Kevin Kroom.
Okay.
Sponsoring Tony Soto. Sponsoring him. Giving him money, I guess, to train with him. Tim Elliott.
Wow.
Tim Elliott saw his chance to get some revenge for Kevin Kroom, who banged his ex-wife Gina Mazzani on his wedding night, mind you.
Is that really what happened?
Yeah, Tim Elliott married Gina Mazzani later that night. One of his best men banged her. So
that's horrific.
Allegedly, that's crazy. That's not even something you see on Vanderpump Rules. Shout out to
Vanderpump.
So he was like, fuck, all right, I'm plotting. He must have had this in the chamber. This might have been in the works for a while. Tony Soto, I think, has a couple BKFC or bare knuckle fights in general. He saw him get matched up, and he's like, oh, fuck, I'm taking you under my wing. I'm teaching you everything I can, and I'm giving you all this money so you can beat the fuck out of Kevin Kroom. If I can't beat him up, you will. So that's a very interesting and kind of just crazy storyline to monitor this weekend. Maybe they get in the cage with each other after the fight. Maybe Gina Mazzani's in there. Who knows? It's going to be like a Edge, Lita, Matt Hardy thing, I think.
Shout out, man. That's a deep cut right there. WWE shit right there.
So I guess that's a thing. I guess that's going to happen this weekend. Bo Nickel also said he wanted to step in and fight Hamzat Chimaev. Thank God that didn't happen.
You think he would have got cooked?
Yeah, it's just too early. I think he would have got punched in the face, and he would have been like, fuck. That, I haven't been hit hard by anybody, and that's just a tough guy to fight. I mean, Usman's fighting him, and I don't know if you saw the video. Usman said his knee popped. Justin Gaethje said no, he didn't say that. I think he did say that. Either way, he doesn't have good knees, and he's probably going to get torched by Mr. Chimaev. So that's my take on the fight. I don't think Usman stands a chance here.
Yeah, we'll have a whole show come out tomorrow, basically breaking that down. And the Thursday and Friday, you'll have the chance to sit there and wager everything that we tell you to wager, because that's, of course, what everyone does every time we drop a podcast. Or you fade us, which is also a smart move. Smart move. But we do have one more thing to talk about before we get out of here. Unfortunately, Pat Miletich came up short this weekend against Mike Jackson. And listen, that...
He was winning the fight.
Apparently he was beating his fucking ass. But he just, the fact that he's 55 kind of caught up with him. That he's eligible for AARP. And, he came up short, man. And what can you really say? The Croatian sensation, he retires after the second round. He was apparently up 20-17. He was going to get cleaned out, apparently, from reports. But now Mike Jackson gets that second win on his record after getting eliminated by Pete Rodriguez and winning his two wins. One was against Dean Barry via eye gouge. So he wins that via disqualification, basically.
That.
And his other win is against a 55-year-old Pat Miletich, who retires after beating his ass. So
yeah, he couldn't get off the stool.
Also a win against CM Punk, but that was a no contest. So, because I believe he was on the marijuana. So, listen, whatever happened to Dean Barry now that I'm thinking about it? He's kickboxing now? He
should be.
He's kickboxing against John Marquez in Titan FC. So
Dean the Sniper Barry.
Yeah. So there's that. So good luck to everybody involved. But what are your thoughts? I mean, I wish I would have gotten a stream of this, but I really didn't care all that much and kind of forgot about it. I went and looked later on. You sent me the tweet where the guy was like, apparently, Aaron Brostetter was like, it didn't go our way. Like I wish I would have had a mega whale play on Pat Miletich money line, but
thank God. That's strange, but welcome to Odd MMA in 2023.
Welcome to Caged Aggression or whatever the fuck the name was. But
it kind of just happens. Things just happen nowadays. We don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But not much going on this weekend, I guess. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the boxing world, I should say, there is Jack Catterall's getting back in there against Jorge Linares, who I can't believe is still fighting. But that'll be in Liverpool, and I think we have a couple more London fights. I guess Alexis Rocha and Giovanni Santillan. They will be in California fighting. And then, next week is Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. So that's kind of crazy. Oshaki Foster, damn, he just won that belt. He's getting back in there, defending his belt on opponent's soil in Cancun. What? Don't have too much tequila while you're down there. But and Amanda Serrano this Friday is getting in there against somebody in Orlando, Florida. Maybe I should go check it out.
Yeah, I love how you have to say against someone. We don't even know who she's fighting. I don't know who
Danila Ramos is, but she's getting in there and she's going to try, I guess. So
there you go.
There you go.
So we'll have an episode come out before UFC 294. Is that the number? Yeah, I believe it is. Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski, Hamza Chimaev, Kamaru Usman. We'll have a whole slate of picks to give to you, our listeners, who we appreciate very much. This has been the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. My name is Matt McSweeney.
I am Capone. And as always, make sure you bet against Kamaru Usman this weekend.